Hey everyone, and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. So it is currently Tuesday. There's exactly 1 week to go until the end of the month, and I am in the mood to read some thrillers. So I thought, why don't I do a themed reading vlog where I just read thrillers for a week and also see how many thrillers I can read within 1 week, because yeah, there's 1 week to go until the end of the month, and I have been in a bit of a reading slump recently. So I thought maybe setting myself this challenge would help with that. Obviously we'll see how it goes, but there are 3 thrillers that I would like to try and finish this week. That's my main goal. If I read any more, then that'll obviously be a bonus. But the first book that's on my TBR for this week is 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton. I've actually started this already and I'm about 30% of the way through, so I should be able to finish it within the next few days. And then I'm going to be moving on to The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. Almost forgot the name of the book then, but I actually have this out of my library. I've had it out of my library for months now and I still haven't read it, but it's due back on Saturday, so I would like to try and finish it before then. The final book I'm going to be picking up is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead, which I'm going to listen to on audio because it's available on Scribd. But again, I've heard really good things about this. I'm sure that I saw quite a few people last year saying it was one of their favourite thrillers of the year, so I'm really excited about this week. I'm really excited to hopefully read some amazing thrillers. As I said, I have already made a start on 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton, and already I'm really enjoying this. I didn't know much about it before I went into it. I'd seen a lot of people raving about it and giving it 5 stars and really positive reviews, but all I knew about the plot was that it was about a school shooting and that it takes place over 3 hours. The opening chapter really throws you straight into the story, and it basically follows all of these different characters that are trapped in this school during the shooting. You also have the perspective of people outside of the school, including the police and also one of the parents. I didn't actually know that Rosamund Lupton's British and this book takes place in the UK. I think it's actually set in the southwest, around that area, because I've heard a few towns mentioned like Minehead and Bath, so I think it's around that sort of area. I do think that the setting has been built up really well though, because the school is located in these woods and it feels very isolated, and the story takes place in November when it's snowing outside. It's a very descriptive writing style, and all of these different elements are coming together to create this really tense atmosphere. This isn't a very fast-paced thriller, it is very character-driven, but because it feels so unique, there's just something so compelling about it, and when I'm reading it, I don't want to put it down, so I am going to go back to reading it now, and then I'll do another update once I'm at the end of part 2, because the book is split into sections and I've just got to the end of part 1. I didn't realise that part 2 is actually a lot longer than part 1, so I'm not quite at the end of it yet, but I am now 60% of the way through 3 Hours. I'm not going to say much more on the plot for this book because this is a very psychological thriller, and as I've been reading it, my mind keeps getting pulled in different directions where I keep thinking, oh, this could happen or this could happen. I think what I'm trying to say is that it's not very predictable, and so I think that it's one of those books where it's better going into it not knowing too much. It's a very slow build-up and the events are unfolding very, very slowly, but I really like that. It means that there is that time to really think about what's happening and what might happen next. I have a theory on something, and I don't know obviously if I'm right, but something clicked earlier and I'm really interested to see, first of all, if I am right, but also how that might fit into the plot. I know that I'm being really, really vague, but I'm really enjoying this book, I think, because of how much it's making me think. It's sitting between a 4 and a 5 stars at the moment, but if the ending is as good as the rest of this book, then I think it is definitely going to be one of my favourite thrillers of the year.
Another lazy afternoon, the clouds covered in grey, third coffee of the day. Almost fell asleep on Zoom, I yawn at the display, third meeting of the day. But I can
So I have now finished reading 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton, and this was a 5 stars easily, I think. This is going to be one of my favourite books of the year. If you're looking for a thriller that's really fast-paced and that has a lot of action, then I wouldn't recommend this one because it is more psychological and it's more about taking you inside the minds of these characters and exploring their thoughts and feelings. It was quite intense at times. I don't think I've ever read a thriller before that has almost made me cry. I would be really interested to know what people outside of the UK think of this book, because in the UK school shootings aren't really that common. I mean, they're not common at all. Obviously I've seen in the news this week everything that's been happening in America, and it's heartbreaking and it's frustrating. The political messages that the narrative was trying to get across were a little on the nose, which personally didn't bother me, but from looking at reviews from people who didn't like this book, that was the main criticism that I saw, so it is just something that I wanted to mention. Actually, I've just remembered that I did have one small criticism for this book, but I don't think I can actually mention what it was because I think that would be spoilery. But like I said, 5 stars, and I think this is one of my favourite books of the year so far. I have now made a start on my next book for this reading vlog, which is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I'm about 20% of the way through so far, so I wanted to give some initial thoughts and feelings. I am enjoying the audiobook. I do think that it's well narrated and I am finding that it's holding my attention. In this book we're following a woman called Jessica who's just been invited to her college reunion, and when she was at college about 10 years ago she had this friendship group and they were all really close. However, before they graduated, one of her friends was murdered and another friend was accused of their murder but was never charged. So no one actually knows who was responsible, and it's that trope where she's confronting her past and trying to work out what really happened back then. It's told in the first person perspective, so it does work quite well as an audiobook, and it's flicking back and forth between the present day timeline and the past, so 10 years ago. There's a lot of messy friendship drama that's going on. So for example, there's characters that dated in the past who then split up, and now they're dating other characters that were also in that friendship group. I'm definitely intrigued, and I have a few theories on what I think might have happened, but they're all really obvious theories, and I've heard that this book has really good twists, so I'm excited to carry on reading. So I am now at 57% of the way through In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and I don't want to jinx it, but I think this could be another 5 stars, but a very different 5 stars to 3 Hours because they're very different thrillers. Obviously I don't know for definite yet because I still have another third of the book to go, but I can't see it being less than 4 stars at the moment, so I'm really happy. I feel like this vlog has been a pretty good success so far. The thing is that the main characters in this book are not likeable at all. The main character, Jessica, had this plan for the reunion where she was going to go back and show everyone how great she is now and how she's changed so much since they were all in college, but her plan starts to be derailed because all these secrets from the past start coming to light. This reminds me of something and I can't think what it is, but it reminds me of some sort of TV show. Maybe it reminds me of a few different TV shows because it is about these characters gradually learning the truth around what happened, and it's just so good. I really like it. I can see why it was on a lot of people's favourite lists last year, so I'm going to carry on reading more today. I am going out for lunch with my nan in a bit, but I'm currently knitting a corgi. Shall I show you the corgi that I'm knitting? I've only done its head so far, but I'm knitting while I'm listening to the audiobook and it's a great time. I'm really enjoying myself, so hopefully I can finish this today and then I can also finish off The Last Time I Lied. I have made a start on it already, but I'm not that far in, so I'll tell you more about that once I've finished In My Dreams I Hold a Knife.
Put on my rain boots, my favorite chiffon dress. I don't care today what the neighbors might say. Put on my rain boots, It's my favorite chiffon dress. I don't care today what the neighbors might say.
So I have finished reading In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and I haven't run it through Core Pile yet, but I think I'm going to give this 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. This had some wild twists and turns, especially towards the end. My heart was proper going as I was listening to it. It was very entertaining, very gripping, and I saw one review actually that compared this to the TV show Pretty Little Liars, and I can see the comparison. I knew there was a TV show that this reminded me of, and I think that's, yeah, the one that I was thinking of. My only small criticism was that I felt like some aspects were a little bit too convenient, and the thing is that this book uses a very popular thriller trope that I've read so many times now. Whenever I come across it, I just find it a little bit lazy and it annoys me a little bit, but I mean, 4 stars, I would definitely recommend this one. I have now made a start on my next book for this reading vlog, and that is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. So I'm about 100 pages into this, and I'm surprised that I'm enjoying this so far. I shouldn't be surprised, because I have enjoyed other books by Riley Sager, but the last book that I read by Riley Sager, Final Girls, I didn't like at all, and I think Final Girls was the first book that he published, and then this was the second. So I was a little nervous that maybe I just wouldn't like his earlier books, but I'm enjoying this so far. In this book, we're following a woman called Emma, who, when she was 13, she went to this summer camp, and the 3 girls that she was sharing a cabin with went missing, and no one ever found out what happened to them. The story then picks up 15 years later, when Emma has just been invited to go back to this summer camp to work as a counsellor. So yeah, it's a similar trope, I guess, to the last book that I read, where you're following a main character who's confronting their past and trying to find out what really happened back then. I do feel like I'm reading this quite quickly, which is a good thing, because I think I mentioned it's due back at the library tomorrow. So I am now over halfway through The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, and I'm really enjoying this so far. I don't think that it's going to be a new favourite Riley Sager, but I'm not hating it, so that's always a good thing. As I've been reading it, I've been collecting clues in my mind as to what I think is going to be relevant when we get to the end. Obviously, I don't know what's relevant yet. I don't know how all the pieces are going to fit together, but I'm definitely intrigued, and I think I'm going to be able to finish this today. I've got about 120 or 130 pages left, so it should only take me 2 hours, and then I can take it back to the library. I don't know if I mentioned, but the book is split into 2 timelines. So you have the timeline in the present day, and then you have the timeline in the past, and I think I prefer the present day timeline at the moment, because obviously in the past the main character Emma is only 13, but she feels like a 13-year-old that's been written by a man, and it's a little bit irritating. The thing with Riley Sager books is that you do have to suspend disbelief just a little bit, because his characters don't feel realistic. Quite often they make choices that to me don't feel very logical, but as long as the plot is still entertaining and exciting, then I can overlook it. There is another thing that's annoying me just a little bit, and that is how it feels a little bit repetitive in the way that the main character keeps thinking to herself that she has secrets and that she's a liar. And I mean, it's there in the title, The Last Time I Lied, and it's also on the back of the book. Like, we know that the main character is not the most honest of people, so I don't feel like we need that repeating over and over again. So that's the only small criticism that I have, but otherwise this is giving me 4-star feelings at the moment. I am also really enjoying the setting and how this takes place in this American summer camp. I don't think I've read any books that have that setting. I might have years ago, but this still feels very unique to me because I haven't read read anything like it before. I'm going to pop to the library once I've finished this so I can take it back, and then while I'm there I think I'm going to have a little look and see if there's any other thrillers that I'm interested in that I can pick up for this vlog, because I'm not sure what to pick up after this. I do have some thrillers on my Kindle that I've owned for a while and haven't got round to, so I should probably pick up one of those, but I'm going to have a look in the library anyway and just see what they've got. Okay, so I thought I would quickly run through all of the books that I've just picked up from the library, because I have no idea what I want to read next, but it's going to be one of these four. I'm not really sure what I'm in the mood for, but my library actually has a pretty good selection of crime, mystery, thrillers, so I had to restrain myself a little bit and just pick up four. Any of these that I don't get to in this vlog, I will read at some point, hopefully in June, but possibly July. The first book that I picked up was Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. So I can remember seeing quite a few reviews for this last year. I think it might have come out last year, and I think it was also nominated for a Goodreads Choice Award. All I know about this is that it's about two fathers whose sons have been murdered, and I think it's a revenge story. The second book that I picked up was Pretty Girls by Karin. So this is about a woman called Claire whose older sister went missing 20 years ago, and it remained unsolved, so no one ever found out what happened to her. In the present day, another girl has just gone missing, and Claire is convinced that there's a link between the two. Haven't read anything by Karin before, but I know that her books are pretty popular, and I'm sure that a lot of people say that this is their favourite Karin book. I might have made that up, but I have heard that Karin books are quite graphic and they're quite gruesome, and this is quite long as well, so I don't know whether I'm going to pick this one up in this reading vlog, but I definitely want to try Karin Slaughter's books because I know that they're so popular. The next book I picked up was Sleepless by Romy Hausmann. So this is about a woman called Nadia who has just been released from prison, and she really just wants to get her life back on track and get back to normal as soon as possible. But then one of her old friends gets in touch to say that she's just killed someone and she needs Nadia's help in hiding the body. I have read one other book by this author. I read Dear Child last year, and I did really enjoy it. It was very tense and it was very creepy, so I'm hoping that this one is going to be similar. It's quite a short one as well, so I think this is a contender for what I'm going to pick up next. The final book I picked up was Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. So this is about a woman who 5 years ago, her partner was revealed to be a serial killer, and now in the present day he's just escaped custody and he's on the run, and bodies have started showing up that were killed in exactly the same way as before. So she's convinced that he's back and he's out to get her. Again, I have read another book by this author. I read Little Secrets a couple of years ago now. I actually read it before I even started my booktube channel, and I can remember enjoying it. It was a domestic thriller, and domestic thrillers aren't my favourite type of thriller, but I can remember it was very thrilling, so hopefully this is going to be similar. It's again quite a short one, and I'm pretty sure that when I read Little Secrets I read it in one day because it was very compelling. So those are the four books that I have to choose from next. I think out of all of these, the two that I'm most in the mood for are Razor Blades and no, that's not that's not the name of the book, Razorblade Tears and Jar of Hearts. I think I'm leaning more towards Razorblade Tears because I've heard that this is quite emotional and it's quite short as well. I think it's just over 300 pages, so I could probably read this quite quickly. Almost forgot to mention, I have now finished The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager, and I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It's not my favourite Riley Sager book that I've read, but I really liked the ending. I thought that it got very clever with the way that things were revealed. I'm trying to be really cryptic because obviously I don't want to spoil it. I always like it when I read a thriller and I can't predict the ending. So yeah, 4 stars overall. I would recommend it. I think this would be a really good thriller to read over the summer because it does have that setting within a summer camp. I am going to make a star on Razorblade Tears and then I will update you once I'm maybe a third of the way through. So I am now about 100 pages into Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby, not Crosby as I kept saying earlier, but I'm about a third of the way through now and I don't know how I feel about it because it's not really what I was expecting, but more to do with the tone of the book rather than the plot. So the plot is pretty much what's written on the back of the book. It follows these 2 men who are both in their early 50s, I think. One of the guys is black and one of the guys is white, and their sons who were married have just been murdered, and these guys weren't very accepting of their sons while they were alive, so they're feeling a lot of grief but also a lot of regret. Both men also spent time in prison around 10 or 15 years ago, and a few months have passed since the murders and the police don't have any leads, so these guys decide to take the law into their own hands and try and investigate and find out what happened. It reminds me a lot of Quentin Tarantino's films because it's very violent and there's a lot of strong language and stuff like that, so it's not like it's a bad book. It's more that I think because I wasn't expecting that, I found it a little bit jarring. I want to give a content warning for racism and homophobia within the context of the book. So you know how sometimes you'll be reading a book and you'll come across something and think, oh, I don't like that. That feels a bit racist or a bit homophobic. But then there's also books like this where you can tell that the author has included stuff deliberately because they're trying to show that the characters are racist or homophobic. Even though I can recognise that it's been done deliberately, it's still quite uncomfortable to read and it's still not nice to read. I'm hoping that I can get to page 200-ish today, and that means I can finish it by tomorrow, hopefully, because tomorrow is the end of the month, so I did want to wrap up this reading vlog then, and I don't like finishing a reading vlog when I'm still in the middle of a book. So I am now 170 pages-ish into Razorblade Tears. I don't think I like the way that this book is being executed. I think that the plot itself is really interesting and it feels really unique. I don't think I've ever read a book like this before. I don't know how to say this, but I think that because there's so much violence in this, it feels shocking, but it doesn't feel like there's much tension. I think that what I was expecting from this book was that it was going to feel very emotional and that it was going to be a lot more subtle, and it's just not really. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets picked up and turned into a movie because I think it would work really well as a film. I actually think that I would prefer it if I was watching this story rather than reading it. It's not that I don't like it, it's that I don't love it, and I mean I'm still gonna finish it because I am intrigued by the mystery and I want to know what happened, but considering that there's quite a lot of action in this book, it still feels like it's quite slow paced. Every time I feel like things are starting to pick up, it goes slow again. So it is taking me longer to read this than I was expecting, but I should finish it either today or tomorrow. So I have finished reading Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby, and I'm going to give this 3 stars. I did enjoy it more towards the end, especially the last 100 pages. I really struggled to put it down. I think the main issue that I had is that I never fully warmed to the 2 main characters, so these two men that are going on this revenge mission. I do understand that these men were written in a way, like in a particular way. Usually I don't mind reading about characters that are unlikable, but I think in this case it did really impact on my enjoyment. There are also a few things that happened in the plot that I didn't really like, and obviously I can't say what they were because of spoilers. There were some twists that I didn't see come in, but also the characters made some decisions that I didn't really understand and that just didn't feel logical to me. I can see why this has had so many positive reviews, and I think it would be a really interesting book to read as part of a buddy read or as part of a book club, because I think that there's a lot that you could talk about. Because I've only just finished this book, it's hard for me to really collect my thoughts, but I think that this is going to be one of those books where the more time that passes, the less I'm going to like it. I think I'm going to look back on this book and I'm going to think more about what I didn't like rather than what I did enjoy. So yeah, I guess that brings me to the end of this reading vlog. In total, I managed to read 4 thrillers over the past week, which I'm pretty happy with. I feel like I could have read more, but I also watched half of the new series of Stranger Things over the weekend, so that obviously cut into my reading time. But I would recommend all of these thrillers for very different reasons though. So 3 Hours I would recommend if you're looking for an emotional thriller and a thriller that has a lot of tension and a lot of build-up. If you want a thriller that has a lot of drama, then I definitely recommend In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Then The Last Time I Lied I think is just a good solid summer thriller that's very fast-paced and that you can read quite quickly. Then finally, Razorblade Tears I think I would recommend if you are looking for a thriller that feels like a movie. Otherwise though, I am going to wrap things up here, so thanks for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye!